Well, happy Saturday and welcome to the Nature and Wildlife Discovery Center. My name is Diana and I'm the Raptor Center Director for the organization. And you are visiting our Raptor Center this morning. I'm with Guffey, the great horned owl. She is one of our educational residents and she's been with us now for about 9 years. Guffey's been having an interesting spring. It was so quiet and with our social distancing and stay-at-home procedures that Guffey decided, with all the peace and quiet, that she would make a scrape, which is a small depression in the gravel in her enclosure, and lay some eggs. Now, Guffey doesn't have a male partner, but being a bird, when her body says lay eggs, well, that's what she did. So Guffey got to sit her eggs for about a month, and they of course did not hatch because they weren't fertilized. So we've been teasing Guffey, saying that she's been on maternity leave. So this is actually Guffey's first program out for a while, and hopefully she will behave herself very nicely and help me tell you all about great horned owls. Well, things here at the Raptor Center are getting a little bit busier now that people are starting to move about a little bit more and get outdoors and live their lives somewhat. I know we're still social distancing and we do have to be careful and wear our masks and all those good things, but people are becoming a little bit more active, so they're coming across more and more wildlife. So we're starting to see a few more patients coming into the Raptor Center. This week we've gotten in a couple of baby great horned owls. One survived and was just fine. The other one did not. It was too badly damaged and we couldn't pass it. We also got in a very adorable, if you've never met one, oh my gosh, they're so cute, a flammulated owl. Flammulated owls are one of the smallest owls in North America. They're only like 4 or 5 inches tall as adults, so they're very, very tiny. And this little guy was found along an irrigation ditch in Rye, Colorado, which is south of Beulah, just up in the foothills there. And they brought him in, and he does have a fractured wing. Our veterinarian, Dr. Germeroth at High Country Vet in Colorado Springs, has done a little work, and we're hoping that the wing will heal okay, and hopefully in a few weeks we'll know if this little guy can go back to the wild. But he's very cute, and he's eating us out of mealworms right now. So we're ordering mealworms to satisfy him, because flammulated owls are actually insect eaters. So there are birds of prey that do eat bugs. Well, great horned owls, they are of course, not very selective eaters. They'll eat pretty much anything from the size of a grasshopper all the way up and including something the size of a skunk and anything in between. So they don't care if it's a bird, a mammal. I've seen great horned owls eating fish, crawdads, snakes, lizards, frogs, you name it. If it's in that size range, it is eligible to be food for a great horned owl, which is one of the reasons that makes them a very successful bird of prey, is they're not particular. They are very adaptable to all different kinds of habitats. You can find great horned owls living in a forest environment. They can survive in a desert, in a marsh, in a swamp, downtown Colorado Springs. So they are everywhere and definitely a part of the urban landscape more and more, as we are seeing, because most of the chicks or the fledglings that come to us are actually coming in from the urban areas of Pueblo and Colorado Springs. So they are right in our busy districts downtown and along major corridors of traffic. So they're out and about. Now, Guffey, being a great horned owl, of course, as a bird of prey, has marvelous adaptations or characteristics to help her survive and find her prey. So first, to find, you always have to have tool senses. So in owls, they have 2 excellent senses for finding their prey. First is their eyesight. They have very large eyes. As I always say how big their eyes are, her eyeballs literally take up 1/3 of the space of her head. So actually, with Guffey so close to me, her eyeball is actually bigger than mine. So it's a huge eyeball. And that eye is engineered for seeing in low light conditions. So she has night vision, if you will. And that's just to help her survive in the nighttime, or, believe it or not, the daytime. Great horned owls are versatile. They can hunt day or night, and they really prefer the twilight time, just at dusk, right after the sun sets, is their favorite time to hunt, and also just before the sun comes up. So dawn and dusk is when they're most active, and we call a bird or an animal like that that's active at dawn and dusk crepuscular. That doesn't mean they're not out and about partying in the middle of the night or hunting in the daytime, especially this time of year when they have chicks to feed. So they function best at night. So that's their tool. Also, it's hard to see, even though you have night vision, it's still tough to see your prey. So owls also tend to have very good hearing. And you can tell the owls that are really dependent on hearing by looking at their faces. Around each of their eyes, they have a circle pattern of feathers, and that's called a facial disc. And that disc is there to help them collect sound and funnel the sound to their ears. Now, you and I, we have a large outer ear made out of skin and cartilage, and this is our tool for gathering sound waves as they come past our heads and funneling the sound into our ear canal. Well, owls don't have an ear flap like we do, so they instead use their feathers, which is actually a pretty cool adaptation because ears have a little bit of weight to them. So as a bird, you have to be very lightweight to fly. Guffey, she only weighs about 3 pounds, so she's very lightweight. If we had a small dog the same size as Guffey, it would weigh 12 to 15 pounds. So birds have a lot of weight-saving devices. So one, losing the ear flap, that takes away a few ounces from you, and using your feathers, which are much lighter, to catch air is a great adaptation for reducing your weight. So they use that face to help them gather sound. In fact, if they have an accident and they damage the facial disc area, either maybe they have a scar or lose an eye and that feather, that disc gets damaged, it actually impacts their hearing and will prevent them from being able to survive in the wild. So hearing is incredibly important to most species of owls. And then of course, once you find your prey, you need to chase it. So Guffey has a huge set of wings. Let me see if she'll open for you today. Can you open, Guff? Yep, and you can see she does have one damaged wing, but she has a very large set of wings. They're very powerful for flying, of course, to chase her prey, but they're engineered a little different. Hawks and eagles and falcons, which hunt in the daytime, their wings are engineered for speed. But in an owl, the wings and feathers are actually engineered for silent flight. So Guffey is extra fluffy. She's got lots of things going on. She's got all this fluff down here. You can see she's got these soft, fluffy feathers all over her body. The edges of the feathers are sort of frayed or fringed, and all that activity, or that design, excuse me, is there to help her reduce her resistance to the air so she can move silently through it. And if you want to do a little experiment, all you have to do is put your hand tight together and flap it in front of your ear for a second, and you'll probably hear some air moving by. But then if you open your fingers and you do the same thing, you have less resistance, your hand moves easier, plus it doesn't make any noise. So owls have this adaptation to their feathers so that they can fly silently. And I like to think of owls as stealth bombers. They're hunting at night, so it's hard for someone to see them. Also, they're flying in silently, so the animal can't hear them coming. And basically, when they drop the bombs, which would be their feet, birds of prey, of course, have those big, beautiful toes and talons. There we go. And you can see Guffey has a gorgeous set of talons right there. This is her tool for catching and killing her prey, and it's very effective and very powerful. Guffey has about, again, books say different things, but she has roughly 100 to 150 pounds of pressure per square inch in her grip. So if she were to grab an animal just with the power in her toes, some animals, she could literally just squeeze them to death. But if she, say, grabs something bigger like a rabbit, squeezing it probably isn't going to end its life. But when she does squeeze, she has those talons, and she can drive those talons with all that power into that prey's body, which would probably give it a fatal wound so that it'll die very quickly. These guys want to deliver their injuries as fast as they can, because the longer they struggle with live animal, the greater risk that that animal could escape or that animal could do harm to them. And we do see birds of prey coming in missing toes, which means the prey probably bit it, and he lost a toe to a prey. So the prey animal won that time, and the owl lost a toe. So they catch it with that beautiful foot. Then once you've caught and killed your prey, you get to eat it, and that's where the beak comes in. Birds of prey have a hook-shaped beak, and that hook is there to help them tear their food into pieces that they can swallow. And of course, when birds of prey eat animals, if that animal is small enough, they eat the entire thing. So for example, last night for dinner, Guffey had a small rat. She had about a 4-ounce rat. And this morning, checking her enclosure, we clean the cages every morning. Guffey had eaten the whole entire rat. So that meant there was really nothing there for us to clean up because she ate everything. She ate the fur, the bones, the teeth, the toenails, the muscles, the organs. Everything went in. And that's normal for a bird of prey. When you're a carnivore, that means you're getting all the nutrients that you require by eating animals, and that means you have to eat every part of them. Humans, we're a little bit different. We're an omnivore. We get food from not only animals but also plants, so we can not have to eat the whole entire animal. I really don't want to eat the eyeballs from a cow. I don't have to because I can eat carrots to get nutrients for my eyes. However, Guffey, she can't eat carrots, so she has to be sure that occasionally she's eating eyeballs and bones and all of that good stuff for her to get essential nutrients. Now, not everything that she swallowed can be digested. Things like fur, bones, teeth, toenails, feathers, things like that. Those things can't be broken down, and since they're large items, they can't pass from the stomach into the intestines. So what the stomach does is, the end of its digestive process, the stomach is, of course, a very powerful muscle, and it will take those leftovers and kind of, if you will, crush it or squeeze it into a very tight ball, and we call that ball a pellet. And once that pellet's formed, the stomach then is going to get rid of it, and it does that by regurgitating. So the owl is going to regurgitate a pellet. And actually all birds of prey do this. Eagles, hawks, falcons, vultures, anybody who's eating whole animals like that can't always digest everything, and they have to regurgitate. It's just that owls are best known for it because they have weaker stomach acids than other birds of prey. So when they digest, they can't break down bones. So if you open the pellet up from an owl, generally, if it's a small animal, you'll get all the bones back from that animal that the owl ate. And it can be really fun to take them apart. Once they're dried out, when they come out, oh my gosh, they're wet and slimy. But if you let them dry out, then you're good to go. So it's a really cool tool that we use to learn about what's going on with the birds, also to learn about their diets, and we do pellet dissections with kids, and it's always very fun. And adults do too. We do it at all ages, and it's always fun to see people's reaction when you put that little pellet in front of them. They're like, ooh, it's poo. And I'm like, no, it's not poo. It didn't come out that end. It came out the mouth. It's a pellet. It's clean. You're good. Let's do it. And then once they start pulling apart and they find their first bone, they get so excited and they just keep going. So it's a really effective tool for learning about birds of prey, and especially for us when we get in a bird of prey that's ill. If it casts a pellet, that's what we say. Instead of saying he threw up a pellet, we say they cast a pellet. Isn't that elegant? The bird of prey casts his pellet. I love that. So he casts his pellet, and we don't wait for it to dry out. We pull it out immediately, and we take it apart to see if there might be some clues to why this animal is ill. And sometimes it is. Like we got a Swainson's hawk in one time, and he was totally paralyzed. Couldn't move his wings, couldn't move his legs. He was found on the side of a road. We thought maybe he'd been hit by a car and he had spinal damage or neurological damage to the brain, but he cast a pellet, and we tore it apart. It was filled with grasshopper parts, which told us, hey, this guy just ate a whole bunch of grasshoppers, which is Swainson's hawk's favorite food. And we did a little research. We worked with the wildlife officer in the area who kind of explored the region where he came from, and he discovered that a few days earlier, a large field had been sprayed with pesticides for grasshoppers, and Swainson's hawks found that field and were just partaking of all these dead and dying grasshoppers. And this little guy had obviously eaten enough that the pesticide causing damage to the grasshoppers had built up enough in his system that it was paralyzing him as well. And we worked with our veterinarian and poison control, and we actually were able to come up with an antidote to help him out, and he did fully recover and go back to the wild. So pellets, believe it or not, are a really awesome tool for us. Now Guffey stays with us because she is a handicapped bird. Guffey came in when she was just a fledgling. She was just learning to fly when she was struck by a car. Actually, she flew into the car. Some people were driving their car along Highway 9 near Guffey, Colorado, and they heard something hit the side of their car. Well, they stopped and to check what was going on with the car, and there was a little dent in the side, and they went back down the road to walk back down to see what hit their car. They thought maybe a rock had tumbled down the hill, but no, it wasn't a rock. It was a young great horned owl. Luckily for Guffey, one of the passengers in the car was a local veterinarian, so she was able to safely scoop up the owl and take it to her clinic, and she provided care to Guffey for the evening, and then in the morning brought it down to us for further care. When Guffey arrived, she did have some damage. She obviously had head trauma, and this side of Guffey's face was very swollen and bruised and very, very sore, and Guffey, of course, was not feeling well at all. And we did what we could for her. There's not a lot we can do with that. We can give them some pain meds, some anti-inflammatories, things like that to help them feel better, and then just wait for the swelling to clear. Well, Guffey had some leftover damage from that head trauma to the nerves on the side of her face. So Guffey has damaged the nerves on this side of the face, and that means she can't, hey Kate, she can't move the feathers on her face. Birds are really cool. They have so much going on with their muscle and nervous systems. They actually can manipulate their feathers by thinking of it. You and I can't control our hair in that way, but owls can. And that's really important for a facial disc because they can move those feathers on the face to be able to listen. So Guffey has lost that ability to move the feathers. In fact, she's got her horns down, but she does have, just like great horned owls, let me put them up for you. She does have 2 horns. Let me put them up. Come here, Guff. Let's show off your beautiful horns. There we go. So I'll put them up for you. This one she can control, but this one is just going to fall right back down because she doesn't have any ability. Her nervous system's been damaged, so she can't use it. Also, she has some damage to her hearing on that side. So right then and there, we knew Guffey cannot return to the wild because she's not going to be able to hunt appropriately. But why did she fly into the car in the first place? Well, this is why. Guffey, before she ever flew into the car, had another injury. She broke a wing, and no one found her, and there was no one to put the bones back in the proper positioning, so the wing healed on its own, and it obviously has not healed with the right shape. We did consult with our veterinarians, of course, to see if there was anything they could do to maybe go back in with some surgery and try to repair some of the damage, but they said they felt like they would do far more harm than good, so the decision was just to leave it be, and she will just, because she's not going back to the wild, it wasn't essential that she become fully flighted again. So we let Guffey continue maturing with our foster mom, Aggie. We have a lovely great horned owl who does some education, but now she's pretty much just a foster mom, but at the time, Guffey got to live with Aggie to finish maturing and learning how to be an owl before we started training Guff to be an educational bird. But she's been doing a great job ever since. Now, often we get questions about when they pant. So Guffey is panting right now, which is kind of fun because she's moving her chin in and out, and you can see that that white spot is just going in and out like crazy. And we call that, when they do that, when they flutter their gular region, their throat area, that's called gular fluttering. And Guffey's doing it right now because she's a little nervous. I think the birds are confused that I'm sitting here talking to myself, but I'm actually talking to you, but she doesn't know that. So when she pants a little bit, that thing will shine. Plus at night, when they need to find each other, if you're out on a hunting party, hooting back and forth is going to give away that you're hunting and you're out there active. So what these guys can do is if they, there she goes, thanks. If they flutter that gular, that white spot kind of really stands out, which in the dark is like a huge beacon. So it could be something that they use to communicate with in silence, which is a great tool for them. So they're just wonderful birds of prey. I'm very fond of owls. I've been through being here at the center now for a long time, over 35 years I've been with the organization. So I've known many great horned owls. Our first great horn that I got to know was a beautiful girl named Buddy. She has since passed away. So she was my first introduction to great horned owls, and there have been many since we've had through the years. They live in captivity about anywhere from 20 to 30 years. So many of them have not outlasted me just yet. Hopefully Guffey, she will. She's young. She's going to beat me to, I'm going to retire far before she's ready to quit. But anyhow, she's just lovely. And then my favorite one was a great horned owl. No offense, you're one of my favorites too. It was a great horned owl named Yeti. And great horns, just like hawks, come in different color variations, or morphs, or phases as they call them. And they go anywhere from being really dark. Guffey's kind of a mid-range. She's a little bit dark. But we had this one great horned owl, Yeti, and she was very, very white and with black markings. And people often mistook her for a snowy owl, which was really wonderful because the period when Yeti was around was during the Harry Potter craze. So it was really fun. We would get invited to libraries that were all excited about the Harry Potter books, and they would host Harry Potter parties. And so we would take Yeti with us, and everyone would think, oh my gosh, it's Hedwig, it's the snowy owl. And it was very fun. And we got all into it ourselves because the first party we went to, we had no idea what to expect, and we just showed up in our uniforms, and everyone at the party was in costume. So I immediately, upon getting back to the center, thought, we need robes. And so off to the fabric store I went, and I made costumes for all our volunteers and staff. So the next time we attended a Harry Potter party, we all went in costume as Keeper of Owls, and it was very fun. But what was really cool is we had a young man volunteering with us who was a dead ringer for Harry Potter. So we put him in costume, put the little scar on his head, and put Hedwig on his hand, and so Harry Potter would come with us to the parties. So we had a great time with great horned owls. They are just wonderful. Anyway, I hope that you guys are safe and well. The birds are doing great. Things are happening here at the center since we're still closed to visitors. We are certainly busy caring for animals, but we're also, now that some of the restrictions are lifted, we're welcoming back some of our volunteers that couldn't be here before, and we're using this downtime, if you will, to make some much needed improvements to the center. Right now, across from me are cages that yesterday we took the birds out and we tore down some damaged areas. New roof is going up, so we're using our time well to get the center looking spiffy again. Lots of painting is going on, repairs and maintenance, things that we really need to do that usually we can't do during visitor time. So we're hoping in a few weeks we'll be back open and the center is going to be looking awesome for you to come back and visit us. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to leave a question in the comment section, and as soon as Guffey is back in her enclosure, and I'll sit down at my computer and be happy to answer those. You can learn more about our organization. You can visit our website at hikeandlearn.org. There's certainly a lot going on. Our facilities, the grounds are open both at our river campus in Pueblo and the Mountain Park campus in Beulah, so you can get out, go for a hike, and you know, get out and enjoy nature. There's a lot going on. Birds are singing like crazy. I live up in Beulah myself, and this morning the hummingbirds were just going nuts. Chickadees and nuthatches were everywhere. So if you're a birder, get to Beulah. There's a lot going on. The wildflowers in the park are blooming. So it's a gorgeous time to be there. But of course, do it safely. Practice your social distancing, wear a mask when you're in public to protect others and ultimately yourself, because there's still some threat from the coronavirus, and we want everyone to be well and for this mess to be over with soon and us to get back to our lives. Well, anyway, we hope that you've enjoyed meeting Guffey, and we'll look forward to someday seeing you here at our Raptor Center. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and go out and enjoy this beautiful May day. And if you're a mom, tomorrow, happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Nature and Wildlife Discovery Center. And again, just get out there and have a great day. Thanks so much.